everybody, welcome back. This week we are working on jammer arms. These babies have been requested more than anything else on my to-do list. The version I came up with is a little bit different than what's currently available. Instead of operating in a single plane of motion, these swivel and move in all directions. In this video, I'll show you how to make them. Oh, hey! Before you get started, remember, lifting weights can be dangerous, power tools can be dangerous, and building stuff can be dangerous. So when we're doing all three of these things at once, we need to be extra careful. DIY projects are awesome, but being safe is even more awesome. I start off by cutting my 2x6 into two 10-inch pieces, then grab the 4x4 and cut it into two 38-inch pieces. My power rack is 3x3 with 1-inch holes spaced 2 inches apart. To make it easy on myself, I hold up the 2x6 to the rack and mark where the holes will go. I only mark the top and the bottom holes. To make sure the holes are identical on each 2x6, I clamp them both to my drill press and drill through with my 1-inch Forstner bit. The bit is only long enough to go halfway through the bottom piece, so I unclamp them and drill the rest of the way through the bottom piece. On the 4x4s, I measure 1 3/4 inch from the end and mark the center. Then drill through with a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. The size of this hole depends on the size of the bolt on your caster. You want it to be a snug fit. The bit isn't long enough to go all the way through, so I flip over the 4x4 and drill through the other side. This 4x4 still has a lot of moisture in it, which makes drilling a little more difficult. The pipes just screw together. You want to make sure they're nice and tight. I used 8 6-inch pieces, 2 3-inch pieces, 4 90-degree elbows, 2 45-degree elbows, 2 caps, and 6 floor flanges. The full list of tools and materials is available in the description below. When you're done screwing everything together, they should look like this. The flange goes on the opposite side from where I drilled the hole. I attach it pretty close to the bottom, but not quite flush with the bottom. I use super thick 2.5-inch screws to secure it. Screw on the bottom flange and tap it into place with a rubber mallet. Repeat the same steps for the other handle. I put the weight sleeve on the side, slightly above the handle. I use a square to mark both 4x4s to make sure they're even. Attach the flange and screw in the pipe. When you're done, this is how they should look. The casters come apart easily. After disassembling, lay them on the 2x6s to mark where to drill. You want to make sure these line up so they're even when they're mounted on the rack. I pre-drill holes for the bolts with my drill press. I follow that up with a 1/2-inch deep hole with a 1-inch Forstner bit. This is so the bolts sit flush when they go in. The washers I'm using are a bit snug. I use a mallet to tap them into place. Once they're in, I'm ready to attach the caster. Attach the 4x4s to the casters. When the bolt goes in, it's snug. This is what I want to prevent wobbling while I'm using it. My rack has 1-inch holes, so I use 1-inch bolts. They are also a snug fit. I wouldn't recommend using hitch pins for this because you want the connection to be tight, otherwise they'll be wobbly. If your holes line up properly, they should go right in. Now, I'm not a structural engineer, but I know that these 1-inch bolts will hold up just fine. I also know that the 2x6s are gonna be plenty strong enough. The one thing I'm not sure about are the casters. Now, they're rated to hold 350 pounds each, but that's with the weight sitting on top rather than hanging off the side. So when you load weights onto this, just proceed with caution. When I posted the prototype on Instagram, I had a couple people asking if it was possible to mount to the front of the rack rather than the insides of the rack. I tried that, and it actually works for chest presses and pull exercises, but any sort of overhead press, shoulder press was just awkward and didn't really work. My suggestion to anyone who wants to mount them inside of the rack rather than on the front side, you can do that. You just need to use a combination of a bolt and a U-bolt, sort of like how Jake of all trades did it with this landmine attachment. The size of the U-bolt will depend on the size of your rack, but if you've made it this far, I have faith you can figure that out. For the finishing touch, I add a little paint and wood stain so it matches the DIY power rack I'm also working on. The finished product looks pretty great. If you make these, I'd love to see them. Tag me on Instagram. If you like this idea but don't want to build these jammer arms, check out PhenoXfitness. They're a small business based out of Traverse City, Michigan with some really innovative equipment. Be sure to like and subscribe for more awesome DIY home gym equipment.